So originally, someone sent me Greg Doucette's book for free. And I read through it and I thought, okay, well, I'll do a review on it. However, honestly, I'm not really about stealing content. Even though I got it for free, I decided because I'm doing a review on his book, I'm going to go buy it. Even if I already have it, I'm going to go buy it. So I go to his website, I pay the $199, and I look around for a button or a link or any way to actually get the book that I just paid for. And there was nothing. And there was no message from them, there was no email, there was nothing about how to get the book that I just paid for. And so I just reviewed the book that I already had. I didn't request my money back because in my mind, I had already paid that money and I already had the product, and so we were fair. You know, that's a way to do it with integrity. A few days later, they sent me an email asking for my ID. This was like 3 days later. They sent me an email asking for my ID, asking for a proof of address, and they said that this was for my protection. That doesn't even make any sense. How is that for my protection? And honestly, by this time I had already reviewed it. I had already posted the video, and so I just forgot about it. Now, I could have just reviewed the book for free, but I didn't, because I think it's important to have integrity, and I think it's important to actually respect content creators. Now, in the actual review, I was actually very fair to Greg. When he did something good in the book that I thought, I praised that. Somehow, that didn't actually make the video in his final cut. I realized he can't take a full 30 minutes and then also respond to it, and he's going to have to take bits and pieces. But the way he actually set it up was extremely dishonest, and it made me seem like a hater, or, like I was just hating on his book, or I was being, extremely critical of his book, and I was at some cases. However, when his book warranted praise, I gave praise. And I even put down my own book. I said he has a section on motivation, he has a section on consistency, on the mental side of training, and I don't, and that in that regard, his book is actually better than mine. So obviously I have bias. However, I tried to be as fair as possible, just because I'm a fan of his. I like a lot of content, and I even said repeatedly that I am a fan of his and I watch his content. So for him to not include that is just weaving a narrative that I am the bad guy. And if you're a fan of his and you didn't watch my full video, well, now you think I'm just like the biggest asshole in the world, which is fine, but it's not the truth. Greg talks about liars a lot. He's talked about that a lot recently, but lying by omission is absolutely still lying. So if he, wants to put on a facade of being honest, well, maybe he should actually be honest when replying to my video. The only way this wasn't a lie is if he didn't actually bother watching my full video. If he watched like 15 minutes and then was like, oh, screw it, this guy's an asshole, and he didn't watch the chunk where I said I bought his book because I respected his content, and that people should buy his book if they want to say thank you for the content that he has put out. Do I think $200 for an ebook is really pricey? Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. It's about 10 times the going rate for a lot of ebooks. And honestly, to not include pictures on a book that he says is for beginners or is for the average person is a little bit of an oversight. Honestly, I actually went really easy on him in the review. I went way easier than I should have. Another thing to clear up is, do I even lift? I saw this a bunch of times, and don't judge a physique from neck to nipples. Are you kidding me? And so just to clear things up, yes, I do indeed lift occasionally. I don't have an incredible physique, but it's pretty clear that I do lift, and I am natural. I am lifetime natural. And if you think I'm small at 200 to 205 pounds, well, you have a very skewed view of the world. Maybe you've spent too much time on Instagram looking at some fake naturals or some roided up professional bodybuilders. Actually, I am decently developed. I'm not saying I'm like a professional bodybuilder or amazingly developed, but I certainly do lift. Another point is when he said my ebook is struggling to sell. It has 4.9 out of 5.0 stars. It's one of the most highly rated fitness books on Amazon, okay? Has it sold millions of copies? No, but it has surpassed my expectations, and feedback has been really, really incredible. Every single review is very, very positive. So if you want to actually judge the book, don't just judge it from what Greg says, because guess what? He hasn't even read my book. So how can he criticize my book when I've read his book, but he hasn't actually read my book? Okay? And if you're going to criticize my book just because it's $8 and has a low price tag, well, guess what? Sometimes expensive things are shit. Sometimes cheap things are good. If you're going to go through life with the idea that expensive is always good, you are going to be very, very easy to market to, and you're going to waste a hell of a lot of money. So, am I still a fan of Greg Doucette? Well, I'm still subscribed, but it's sort of hard to be a fan of someone who twists your words like this. It's extremely dishonest what he did, and I'm not surprised given how critical and not butt-kissing my original video was, but still, to see just entire chunks on my video that were praising him or saying that I was a fan, it's just completely omitted and focusing on only the critical areas, honestly, that isn't really very honest, and for me, integrity and honesty are two extremely important things. Now, he tries to make it seem like my book is extremely complex and convoluted and complicated. It's not, okay? Yes, it is 66,000 words. Yes, it is 200 pages. And yes, if you have zero attention span and you can only be yelled at in small 10-minute chunks, it's probably not the book for you. But I am very successful on Quora for a reason. I can break things down in a very simplistic manner and make people understand, and my content is very practical, pragmatic, and useful. Okay, that doesn't mean just because it's longer, it's more complicated. Okay, yeah, it might take a little bit more effort on your part, but it is not overly complex. And again, he has not read my book. Okay, he hasn't even read it, and he's trying to say it's super complex. Okay, so to me, this is, again, very, very dishonest and disingenuous. Now, he also says you don't need 45 different types of biceps curls, which is sort of, I think, a jab at Humiston, which I completely agree with. Your training should be simple. Just because my book is longer doesn't mean it's more complex. However, I don't think just having glaring omissions in his book is really excusable in the name of simplicity. Simplicity is good, but if you're just not covering stuff like technique or, basic pictures of the exercises. If you buy a $200 training book and you have to Google the exercises, that doesn't really make any sense to me. If the book is for advanced trainees, okay, skip the pictures. They already know most of the exercises, and they already have the drive to go and look them up if they don't. However, he says this book is for beginners. He says this book is for the average person in the gym who is a beginner by definition. Okay? And so to not have pictures or any kind of description or anything about the exercise other than its name and nothing else, honestly, I think that is an oversight. And I absolutely stand by my original decision. Every single thing that I said in that review, I 100% stand by. Every single word. And actually, in hindsight, it was probably that I was too nice to him. And you might not agree with that, especially if you're a fan of him. But for $200, you deserve better. You really do. Now, do I have bias? Of course, I wrote the other book. However, I tried to be as objective as possible. And if you look at the comments on my original video, a lot of them said, wow, this is a great review. Wow, you were very fair and impartial in this review. And honestly, I was. Not in his video of my video, but in the original video, absolutely, I was very, very fair towards him. Because I like a lot of his content, and he's one of the people in the fitness industry who I consume his content. Now, do I agree with everything he does? No. Hell no. But I do think that he does deliver value. Honestly, this was an opportunity for him to get better. Instead of taking someone's feedback and thinking, okay, well, maybe pictures and descriptions of exercises might be a good idea to include in a training book, and updating his book and sending it to the people who already paid $200 for it, instead, he tells people to Google it. Honestly, that is extremely disappointing, and the ability to take feedback and criticism and actually improve is extremely important. And just because he has many more subs than me doesn't make my opinion invalid. And honestly, it is extremely disappointing to see him react this way. But given, how he has become in the past few weeks, the past month, being extremely sensitive to any kind of feedback, maybe he's just overstressed or overworked, it's not too surprising. So Greg, if you're watching this, yeah, I was tough on you. Most people in the fitness industry, they want to get clout and they want to kiss on your buns. But just because someone doesn't do that doesn't mean their opinion is not worthwhile. In fact, getting tough love and honest feedback is something that is extremely valuable and something you probably haven't been getting very much of. So I guess that is about all. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I'm happy to clear anything up. All I ask is that, one, you watch the original video because that is actually the whole picture, and two, you keep an open mind. You don't even have to be respectful. You can curse at me if you want, feel free, but just try to keep an open mind. That's all I ask. So that is it for this video. Like if you want, dislike if you want. That's fine as well. Doesn't really hurt the algorithm. Subscribe if you wanna. I don't really give a shit. And I will see you maybe in the next video. Peace.